Paid for by Levinson for President. Authorized by Michael Stephen Levinson. I'm Michael Stephen Levinson, and I approve this message. Hi, how are you? I'm Michael Stephen Levinson. I'm a write-in candidate for the office of President of the United States. This is my first televised broadcast, and my intent is to provide for you more information than you get from any other candidate. What distinguishes my campaign from all the other campaigns is a book, The House of David Press, from the book of Leviticus, Genesis, Exodus, Deuteronomy, Numbers. This book is all hand-lettered in double columns, and what it is, it's a television scripture, and it was lettered and designed to perform on worldwide television for all the world's peoples to participate in together all at once. That's why I wrote it, to perform it worldwide, dusk until dawn, like old blind Homer, rivaling Dante with every line, a delicate, sensible rhyme. So Homer was the guy, the Iliad and the Odyssey, dusk until dawn, my idea. Dusk until dawn, all channels, all peoples, all nations. I'm not going to deliver the world to peace, although that will be the first peaceful night in 5,000 years of recorded history. You are going to deliver the world to peace. I'm going to steer. So the question is my spoken poem for all mankind lettered on the page in double columns fun to listen to? Or is it a waste and a bore? So let's have a look. As long as it's my time, I'll share a little bit. I begin with the story of Man and Even. Is it on the screen there? Man and Even. One day, God's son was standing around. How do I want to do this here? I think I want to do this like this. One day, God's son was standing around, got punched in the side, cried, "Wah!" Turned round, she said, "Hiya, my name is Ka. They, what is yours?" He say id, Man. She said, Even. God said, Man, Ka's cut from your rib. She's your mate to kid. But stay off her head. Don't jump on the little kid's head. Man obeyed cause God was his dad. God was his dad. Even stood spread as an eye girl and gave Man a love L.I. kiss. Man and Even were love L.E. kids. They played ing all day long wherever they could find. They played on the edge of a river in Edom. Ad said, "Cat, let's go in the water." Cat said, "All right, but not overhead." The river in Garden was shallow and fresh. There they went pish, and they did in splash. Man and Even loved each other. When God turned over night, God said, "Sleep tight," and Man and Even slept side by side. First day. I would love to retell the story of Man and Even for you, and in another program I will. I'm going to do a number of these programs, which is entirely up to you. This is a book of living prophecy. As world events unfold, they were written down in advance. A good example, the Arctic ice caps melting. You can see for yourself. See? All this carbon monoxide in the air. Brother, you ain't got athlete's feet, you roastin'. Polar ice caps gonna meld in, you gonna get a steam bath. Okay? When I was writing this down, I asked some students, I was in this cafeteria at a university in their Rathskeller, and I was writing this down. I had it all in my head. It was a matter to just put it down on the page. And I asked these kids, am I talking about carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide? stuff from the pipes in the cars. Kid says, you want monoxide, but it's the oxides. There's too much of it. We have to get rid of it. And I have a plan on how we can show the rest of the world, besides ourselves, how to eliminate all of this tons and billions of tons of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which is being absorbed by the oceans and acidifying the ocean. So in a year or 2 or 3, you're liable to, the fishermen will come back and say there's half as many fish as there was last year. Then it's already on the downslide because we're tipping the balance of Mother Nature. But I know what we can do and how to do it. So that's the Arctic ice caps melting, copyright 1971. There are lots of world events in here. Agnew is a tragic hero over money. The Vice President Spiro Agnew. Governor Wallace gets a shot in the back. The Persian Gulf War, the year it would happen, where it would happen, who would do the fighting, how it would turn out. It's all in here. And every time I do a broadcast, I'll show you another page. The name of Pope John Paul I, the 33-day Pope. He's named. 13 pages later, he's described dying. The Japanese tsunami and the nuclear meltdown. It's in the book. The oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, BP. We'll take a fast look. Take a fast look, and then we have to get down to the jobs that I have for you and everything else. Let me find that. Hold on. Where is that? God, you'd think I'd have marked it off. Give me a second. Where is it? Ah, okay. All right. Oil spill on water? Look out, brother. Every G.I. Joe, like geologists, the people that were on the Deepwater Horizon, who said, hey, don't do it this way, and the BP people overruled them. Every G.I. oil spill on water, look out, brother. Every G.I. Joe who said don't do no drilling for oil, he's the one that lost his job. The English colonize. 4 in the colon, the bowels of the earth. 4 in the colon, and rub it in front of your eyes. What's my program? We're going to nationalize all the oil wells in the Gulf of Mexico. That's my program. Then we're going to, because that oil seam that BP stumbled into, there's as much oil there as in all the oil, every barrel pumped in Saudi Arabia for the last 70 years. We could be taking 10 million barrels a day from what that seam leads to. An oil seam that goes the girth of the planet beneath the seas. We could take 10 million barrels a day for the next 100 years. We can tell the Iranians, go solar instead of nuclear, or we'll outsell you, your oil to our oil to your customers, and undersell you so that your oil is boycotted. And then that country would collapse in 2 weeks. So it could make a real difference in world, and for having world peace, that we would have all of that oil, which is what is there. That's what they don't want anybody to realize. So we're going to nationalize all the oil wells in the Gulf of Mexico. Clean the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to be 50,000 very high-paying jobs because there's so much that has to be done there. Then we're going to take the proceeds, other proceeds, from the oil in the Gulf of Mexico, and we are going to pick up all the real estate taxes in the whole country, and then we are going to provide free education for all who qualify. Some people want to go to college. It's not going to cost anything to go to college. It's whether you have the talent and the pre-learning to qualify to go to college. So that's what we'll do with the oil from the Gulf of Mexico, and nationalize those oil wells. This is what we should do. So, and left the way it is, the BP people will simply corrupt the inspectors, and it'll say, well, we're drawing out 100,000 barrels when they're taking out 250,000 barrels. That's the way they play. So that it'll be better for BP in the long run. BP. Gee, you'll have to worry about all those poor British retired school teachers whose pensions could be in trouble. Why not have American companies? Like Standard Oil of Ohio, the Rockefellers, Chase. How about them? Well, actually, the Rockefellers sold their company to a British company called British Petroleum. Duh! So, there's a lot of powerful forces against my idea to nationalize all the oil wells in the Gulf of Mexico. so that we understand what's going on. Okay, let's move on. I want to talk about jobs. Jobs are very important. Nobody has them, and I'm going to explain where they are. My program, one program out of many, by executive order, the day that I take office, all marijuana is going to be listed as medicinal without a prescription, so that anyone who wants to smoke marijuana can smoke marijuana. There's going to be 50,000, because it is medicinal. It relieves, it's a mild relief for anxiety and stress. And for serious illnesses where people take chemotherapy, they need a lot of very strong marijuana, like on salads and stuff, and to smoke also. And then they're relieved. If somebody has a spot on their lung, at the beginning of a tumor, and they smoke marijuana, the smoke goes into their lungs and fights the tumor. Bang, bang, bang. Were pot legal, Michael Jackson would still be alive. So, by executive order, that's all going to change the day I take office. 50,000 shops will spring up all over this country, because by executive order I'm going to provide relief for all these state regulations. Anybody wants to be a seller and a grower, they get a tax stamp, and they're legally qualified to sell and grow. And the stores will get a tax stamp, and 50,000 stores will be 500,000 jobs. So could be a kid working in the front window, and he's cleaning, and he's removing the seeds, and the seeds and stuff like that can be also used for other purposes, to make gruel, food, all kinds of advantages with the cannabis plant. So hemp. So a kid is working in the front window, and he's cleaning, and he's rolling spliffs, and he's wearing gloves and a mask, and he's making blunts and spliffs and little baggies and bigger baggies. And this is a kid who doesn't read that well, and he's never had a job, and now he's in his dream job. He's a taxpayer. Otherwise, he was standing on a street corner. So there's 500,000 jobs. It's not your job, it's somebody else's job. And this is also anti-inflationary. If these dopes want to lay around, out of circulation, burning their money, let them. Yeah, I like that. Stupid people burn up. The question is, do I smoke dope? I smoke every dope within earshot. Stupid people burn up whenever I talk. I don't smoke anything. I used to smoke. And I smoked marijuana too. I'm fine. The President of the United States smoked marijuana. So did George Bush smoke marijuana. So did Al Gore smoke marijuana. But they're all hypocrites. Moving right along. My program is to build clipper ships wherever there is water and people need work. Now we're talking 3 million jobs that we could have tomorrow morning. We could be starting. Clipper ships, hybrid clipper ships, the sails, solar voltaic, so they make electricity. The college students will work on the ships and get their undergraduate education sailing around the world. So they'll pay a lesser tuition. Harvard could have a fleet of 40 ships freeing up 1,600 seats on land. So we're going to build 10,000 clipper ships. Up and down the Great Lakes, there will be shipyards springing up. And the Gulf Coast, the East Coast, the West Coast, shipyards, building clipper ships. Hybrid, state-of-the-art. This is to carry all of our cargoes that we export and all of the cargoes that we import. We can say to any country, we'll take all of your stuff, but it comes on our ships. Where's the money going to come from? The universities have giant endowments. As president, I'm going to see to it that the endowments are shifted into shipbuilding, and the ships are connected to the universities. Apple has $90 billion sitting in the bank. The Federal Reserve will underwrite the $90 billion, so they're not losing any money. No way to lose any money. Maybe include a tax benefit on that money for investment purposes, and half of that money can go into shipbuilding. So the money is out there. Golly, we could issue United States shipbuilding savings bonds, and the American people will fund the shipbuilding. So the money to build 10,000 clipper ships is out there. College students work on the ships. They get their education. When they load stuff in a foreign country, everything is inspected so no contraband comes in on ship. So my clipper shipbuilding program is 3 million jobs. And we could start this tomorrow morning, but we can't because it's my idea. The anointed candidates of the two major parties, they aren't going to support this, because they would have to acknowledge it's a nonpartisan idea, and it comes from Michael Levinson, and the standard thing that anyone would say is, as long as Yeah, it's his idea. Why don't we vote for him for president? They don't want you to even hear me, much less adapt any idea that I have. Okay, so there's shipbuilding. Here's another couple million jobs. These politics talk about and changing regulations and things. By executive order, we want to do away with the regulations that keep homeowners from having a wind turbine on the roof of their house. You can't have a wind turbine in the city. All the cities and towns all have regulations, sponsored by the power companies, that you can't have a wind turbine unless you have like 1.5 or 2 acres of land on your property and there's nobody else around. So we're going to change all of that by eliminating those regulations. What we want is to turn every home in America into an energy incubator. How does that work? We re-roof the houses with solar voltaic roofing shingles, so the houses are manufacturing electricity when the sun is shining. We have a windmill on every house. We attach a solar unit to the windmill so that when it's a sunny day and it's wind, the wind is not blowing, the blades are turning anyway, making electricity. Then we want to have a passive panel on the roof to heat water so that we can have a 200 or 100 gallon tank in the basement with steaming hot water in it. So even if the sun doesn't come out for a couple of days, the water's still in the tank steaming. So in this manner, every home in America can become an energy incubator, making more electricity than it's using all day long while the parents are at work and the kids are at school. So your electric bill could be $300. With my program, it's going to be maybe $75. The difference will go for paying down the loan against the property for doing the work. And the loan is a guaranteed loan because it will be underwritten according to law by the power company, which is a program they did in New York State many, many years ago to get houses insulated. And other states have done the same thing. So that's what we're going to do. Every home improvement business in the country will be hiring people to re-roof these houses, people to go out and do the energy audits, and people to do the installations of the wind turbines, and companies will spring up to make all of this stuff here in America, and there's another couple million jobs. So I just told you real fast about 5 million jobs that we could start having tomorrow morning, and they're not jobs that are going to last 6 months. They're good jobs. Especially the shipbuilding, you'll learn to be an electrician, you'll learn to be a carpenter, you'll learn to be a plumber, because all of the things that go into ships, in the clipper ships, they'll have semi-automatic winches to raise and lower the sails. These kids are going to be going to school. They might have to stand watch on the bow to look out for sleeping whales, but other than that, they're not going to have so much work to do on these ships. Standing watch, it's part of, and working all together to clean up the galley. We're not going to have a crew, they're the crew. So with shipbuilding, it's nonpartisan, and making every house an energy incubator. These are jobs that are going to start, and all the things that go into a ship you have to consider. The winches, the masts will be rotational like the old Chinese junk, so they'll catch every gust. So any country, we tell them we'll have all of your stuff that you want to export as long as it comes on our ships. My website is not available in China. But as a matter of fact, last month in China, in the United States, there were 9,567 page views. In China, there were 4,373 page views. The Chinese government is reading all of my ideas. So while the networks don't want to give me the right time of day and let me even request time, I send letters to the networks to see about. I'm in actually 3 federal appellate courts, and I made a preliminary initial filing already in the Supreme Court about my right to give a speech on network television. So when these networks, they get letters from me. Here, see this? It says President ABC. You see this? It's certified. It says up in the corner, Committee to elect Michael Levinson President. What does it say? Refused. They don't even accept delivery. They see my name on the envelope and they refuse delivery. That was $5.25 down the drain. Here, NBC President. Refused. CNN. Refused. PBS. Oh, never heard of them. Refused. They think that as long as I can never get them into court, they can do what they want above the law. They're all in violation of the access law. The access law says, for the willful and repeated failure to allow access, the commission may revoke a station's license. What nobody realizes is that in the year 2001, in an act of Congress, Congress amended the access law and removed all the PBS stations. It's not constitutional. I'm challenging it. It's going to be in the Supreme Court. They also ruled that the commission wouldn't even take a telephone call about a complaint against PBS. So the jurisdiction over the PBS is with the court. So when you're going into the court, I attach in my complaint ABC, NBC, CBS, and they don't realize that the marshal is going to be delivering the papers to them to appear and show cause why the court should not order the secretary to revoke their licenses. So win, lose, or draw, I'm going to put $1 trillion into the Treasury because these networks are going to lose their licenses. It's unavoidable. So that's another issue that's going on. Let me see. Let's talk mortgages. Yeah, I've got some time here. I've been talking fast. I've been telling you stuff. I didn't start this yesterday. The longest, deepest file ever created on an American citizen is the file your government started on my life and times in a big way. According to J. Edgar Hoover, he held meetings and wrote memorandums and said that I should be watched and corralled from ever speaking for life. And the Hoover tattoo, it's like an Auschwitz blue. They started on me big time in 1970, and they never left me alone. But that's another issue. I get to be president, I get my files. It's volumes. And then I'll see it's published, and you can read for yourself all the stuff that they've done. It's heavy. I'm not exactly a lightweight. Okay, let me see, what was I going to tell you about? Oh yeah, mortgages. Let's talk a little mortgage reform. My program, upon election, I'm going to institute the United States Mortgage Savings Bond, and every person in the country is going to have the opportunity to pay off their mortgage, which the banks cannot refuse. You walk into the bank, you owe the bank $100,000, and you've always paid all your bills. So you're going to get a 15% reduction because you've always paid everything the proper way and always played by the rules, a phrase that was started by Clinton. So you'll bring a mortgage savings bond, pay to the order of you and the bank for $85,000, and the banker will take that and you'll stay in the bank and wait for your deed to come over the fax machine. Then you're going to sit down at a desk in the bank's office and redo your mortgage in a do-it-yourself deal, and then you're going to send that to Uncle Sam. And your mortgage is going to be redone for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, fixed rate, depending on the quality of your credit, from 4 to 7%. This also includes commercial properties, commercial residential, giant apartment complexes are also going to be purchased from the banks that hold these mortgages. And then you'll send that to Uncle Sam, and then Uncle Sam will take the mortgage and send it back for a quarter point addition to be serviced by the bank branches in the same zip codes where the houses are. So you'll be paying your mortgage at the bank where you are, where your mortgage is now, or maybe the bank across the street, but right in your same zip code. And so it'll be 85%, 85 cents in the dollar for the good. And for the houses that are upside down, and I don't have time to explain all this, I'll do a separate broadcast just on this mortgage program. It'll be more like 65 cents on the dollar, with the addition, the 35 tacked on the back. Because it was all Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac money, it's all our money anyway. We'll put that on the back. When it's bank money, the bank will get some down the road, but there won't be any interest on that. The mortgage payment will reflect not the upside down money, and people will be able to live in their houses, build equity, and when they go to sell the house, some of that equity will go to pay that second mortgage sitting on the back, but they'll walk away with money, as they should, for taking care of the house and improving it and everything else. Houses that are in foreclosure, that's 49 cents on the dollar. So the banks will be bond rich, and what we're going to do is let the bank branches hold 12 payments that they can use to loan to small businesses in the same zip codes where they are. So the pizzeria wants to get a new oven or a second oven and double their business, and the bank will go and inspect the business and look at the books and loan them the money, which creates more jobs in the localities and small businesses. But the interest on all the loans goes to Uncle Sam every month. And the mortgage savings bonds were written at 2%. And the average bank loan will probably be, say, 5%. There's a 3% spread. So we're going to apply the 3% spread on 60 million mortgages to drawing down the national debt. How's that? So we, the people, are going to purchase our properties from the banks, and we're going to pay the banks in our savings bonds, and we're going to use the spread between the mortgages that we rewrite, that we're letting the banks service, and what the mortgage savings bonds, which will be a financial instrument out there that every investor in the world will want to get his hands on those bonds, so the banks can turn it into cash right away. We'll apply the spread onto drawing down the national debt, which brings up another issue. I'm going to do the same thing with the credit cards. I'm going to have an Uncle Sam Shazam U.S. savings bond, and everybody's going to have the opportunity to get an Uncle Sam Shazam card, and all of their credit card debt will be paid off with Uncle Sam Shazam 2% savings bonds and put into Uncle Sam Shazam at a 7 to 12% interest rate, and a way better deal than what you've got. And these credit card companies aren't going to argue about this, because what I'm doing actually is doubling the credit worthiness of the whole country. So you walk into a store and the credit cards in your pocket are clean. Well, you look at this 80-inch three-dimensional TV set that will even cook breakfast, and you're both working, you and the spouse, and you decide, hey, we really want that. We've been thinking about it. And it's like $4 grand or something. Well, you can afford it. With people having all these clean cards in their pocket, thousands of new businesses are going to start up, because that's all they need is to have the card. So I've been talking this faster than I want to talk, but this is my introductory program to you, so you understand that I see a way where we can become and remain and lead the world as the economic leaders of the world. It isn't from missiles and guns and tanks that we sell to other countries. What do they do with the stuff but kill their own people? It's with having 10,000 clipper ships and going all over the world, and so then we give foreign aid to some country, we are able to do that people to people. So a ship could have a bunch of grain in it that we're giving to some country where they don't have food, and our students are going to see to it that the food goes to the people, not to some government official and then put on a ship and sold to some other country for money. So these are the kinds of things that I want to talk about. For every issue facing our country, I'm going to keep coming back and making more tapes. I ask for your support, of course. Support my candidacy, and I will make more programs, and this program is going to play on every television station all over the country, as many as I can find. Never mind these networks. I'm going to go to individual television stations and see to it that this program plays. That's the idea. You support my candidacy with whatever you feel you can support it with. And what happens is you will get a copy of the Book of Lev, a digital copy. I'm turning my hand-lettered font, hand letters into a font, and it will be available, and you'll be able to download it onto your smartphone or your desktop, and you will have a copy of the Book of Lev, a kiss, the prophetic television scripture that I wrote down to perform worldwide. So that's what you get from me when you donate to my campaign. And this is coming to an end, and I'm going to have to add a little bit to finish off my program. Paid for by Levinson for President, authorized by Michael Stephen Levinson. I'm Michael Stephen Levinson, and I approve this message.